I'm here to talk to you today about what I believe to be the biggest issue facing our nation and nations alike in today's day and age. Report after report begins to show a pattern of why and how this issue is so systemic. I'm calling it the playbook to cover up systemic child sexual abuse, including trafficking. First things is we want to discuss the signs that lead to the conclusion of children being abused. They include, but are not limited to, huge changes in child's behavior, regression, anger, loss of speech, physical signs including bruising, redness, etc. near or on the genitals, sexualized behavior beyond their years, as well as disclosures. When confronting the suspected abuser, the typical responses are denial, explanations that don't add up logically, shifting of blame, projection, and attacks, and starting a campaign to discredit, which includes contacting neighbors, family, professionals to spread lies and prevent further investigations. They also enjoy isolating you from communities in order to have you in a weakened state. This is how the abusers operate, and as you will see further, this is common throughout the system. So now we get into how that abuse is hidden systemically. So we've gone over why you would suspect it. You contact the authorities. The typical responses out of the authorities are excuses like they need physical evidence to prosecute, which include eyewitness testimony, rips, tears, semen, things that are very rare when you speak to people who are experts in sexual abuse. These things very rarely happen. They advise that it's a child protection issue. They do not investigate. They advise that it's a family court issue. And they also question the mother's mental health. That's almost immediate. Or the person reporting the sexual abuse going on. The responses from child protection, whatever agency it may be, and again, these are common with the reports that are coming in. This is why we are doing this today. Number one, the police are not pressing charges, therefore no child protection is needed. They also refuse to investigate. They disregard any testimony from the people who saw the changes in the child's behavior. They call them a liar, straight to their face. They only accept testimony from those in support of the abuser. They advise that it's a family court issue, as if it's not your problem, and that's also a commonality. You'll see there's a wheel that you were put on with no chance of getting off. The actions at that point from the abuser usually is to call mental health on the mother. That's very common, that they have to discredit the mother's testimony or the person making the accusations in order to hide the reality of the situation. They also launch slander campaigns to isolate the victim, including lies, rumors, really anyone they can reach out to that could be in that person's life to help make it a lot harder for them to get help or to get better. They also launch, typically, family court hearings to accuse a mother or, the parental caregiver of alienation and instability. And they've done that through their campaign to spread information. These also result in many family court battles. This is not a once-off. This is time and time again. During this, the mother continues, or the caregiver, to seek help for the children and themselves. They build evidence in the form of pictures, medical records, psychology reports, etc., whatever help they can get. When this is presented to a court of law, the court typically completely disregards all evidence and grants the abuser access to the children. Most of the time it's unsupervised. During this, the mother continues to document abuse and report to the authorities, making complaints to various offices when things aren't getting done, but doing their due diligence to have the issues heard. This results in the police continuing to question their mental health, and the threats start, including stop talking to people and just worry about your children. That's something they like to use. The child protection at this point just continues on with that there's no evidence. Whatever is presented to them from authorities outside, whether they're doctors or therapists, they just say they're not credible. They're not to be listened to. They completely ignore anything. They refuse referrals to specialists, or they use their own specialists who are bought and paid for, who will report exactly what they want, no matter what the truth is. Most of the time, some of the time, the mother or the caregiver is successful in getting a protection order against the abuser to protect the children. Very commonly, not long after this takes place, the child protection agencies take the children from the mother and give them to the abuser. So they're using their authority in the system to oversee a previous order. And the courts allow this to happen. In fact, judges have been reported to say, the powers that be will just overturn this order. This is how systemic this is. Courts assist by forcing mother into supervised visits, not allowing her to bring children to the doctor, and orders to silence her, with jail and fines being the consequences. It's a full-out gag orders to not speak about these issues, and to just be quiet and allow this to go on and stop looking for help. Children continue to be abused. While this whole process is happening, the children are still being abused. This is something I want to, really get the point across of. There's also common happenings that are coming up report after report, and I want to touch base on those. Child protection calls the mother's supports to discredit her and prevent further investigation, usually by means of questioning her mental health. Do you see the pattern here? So the abuser, the police, and now the child protection agencies are actually going out of their way to ensure that her testimony and her voice is silenced and discredited so that the abuse can continue. The police, the protection agencies, and the abuser actively work together to discredit. They also make false reports about the mother, lie to judges, and on court documents. These people have absolutely no morality whatsoever. They do not care if they lie on a court document in front of a judge and swear to it being the truth. These are police officers making false reports. These are protection workers lying constantly to ensure either they continue to have the children within their care and make money off of the system, or that they can paint the reporter in a bad image so that they can continue doing what they're doing. The lawyers also work with the abuser's lawyers and judges to make settlements not in the best interest of children or the mother. Even though you're told that your lawyer's there to work with you, for you, they're not. They're working for the system. It's not uncommon for these people to make backdoor orders, backroom conversations that you are not privy to. And due to the perceived ignorance of the majority of people, they have no problem doing this. You're played like a fiddle in the system. There's no responsibility, there's no accountability. This is the wheel that you never get off. You never get off it. I have some personal points here. You would like to think that this is a rare experience, and I'm talking to you today about a once-off, but the truth is, this is standard operating procedure. This is going on every single day across this country. They keep this from the public with gag orders, threats of not seeing your children, and so much torture and psychological abuse, many end up shells of themselves. Often, in fact, they depend on this reality. The way that this operates is to cause you so much torture, so much psychological damage that you in fact can't speak out anymore. and you're driven into, drugs or alcohol, anything to escape the reality that you're in.
Suicide.
As well as suicide. You need to know that residential schools never ended. It just changed forms and included the rest of the population, especially single mothers and those from poverty. Just like abusers target, especially sexual predators, target single mothers and people who need help around the home, the whole system does the exact same thing. They operate in the same ways. This is a call to action. I know there are many in the system of things who have seen things, who know more than they speak of. I implore you, now is the time to not be afraid. Now it's the time to speak up for the children and generations to come. Good police officers, good social workers, even if you don't last long in the profession. Good doctors, good advocates, good judges and politicians. This is your call to action. Mothers, add your voice to this movement. You are not crazy. No, it's not all in your head. And no, it's not right. Together, we will not be silenced. Together, we will hold each other up through this madness. This is a call to the mother bears out there. The time for your wisdom and strength is now. Add your voice, add your story. This is systemic. This is across the board. It's time we do something about it.